Once upon a gentle, glowing dusk, just as the last amber rays of sunlight dipped below the hills, the skies opened into a deep velvet blue. In this vast sky, where the stars waited to twinkle and dreams prepared to take flight, lived a very special little cat named Starwhisper. Now, Starwhisper was no ordinary cat. She didn't live in a house or a garden. She didn't nap on couches or chase toy mice on living room carpets. Starwhisper lived high above the world on a soft and fluffy patch of cloud she called her own. Her fur shimmered like moonlight on a calm lake, and her eyes sparkled with the glow of distant galaxies every evening. When the stars came out to play, Starwhisper set off on her nightly voyage. She sailed the skies in a cozy little boat made of stitched-together cloud stuff and old dream threads, with a star map wrapped in a scroll and a glowing crystal compass. She followed the quiet call of night to adventure. Tonight's journey would be especially magical. Starwhisper purred softly as she unmoored her boat from the cloud dock. With a gentle push of her paw, the little vessel drifted into the night currents, gliding silently past silver moonbeams and floating bubbles of forgotten dreams. Below her, the world was peaceful. Forests slumbered under dewdrop blankets, rivers whispered lullabies to fish, and distant cities twinkled like constellations upon the earth. She unfurled her star map and traced her paw across the lines. "Tonight," she whispered, "we visit the dreaming isles of Slumbra." The wind obeyed. It carried her gently across layers of mist and warmth, while the stars above hummed their age-old lullabies. The boat rocked softly like a cradle, and Starwhisper, cozy in her cloud blanket, let her mind wander like it always did. First came the cloud owls, silent as snow. They glided past with slow, spiraling wings, hooting ancient songs. One of them tipped its wing at Starwhisper and offered her a small feather made of stardust. "For your courage," it said, "and your calm heart." Starwhisper tucked the feather behind her ear. "Thank you," she said sleepily. "That will help on my voyage." Chapter 2. The Whispering Winds. The winds shifted just a little. Not fast, not harsh, just enough to nudge her cloud boat toward a patch of shimmering light on the horizon. This light wasn't from a star or moonette, was the glow of the dreaming isles themselves. These were floating islands of memory and wonder, drifting on the upper currents of sky, visited only by dreamers and wanderers like her. Trees of silver leaves lined the banks. Glowing flowers pulsed with the rhythm of sleeping hearts. As she neared, a gentle mist wrapped around her like a sigh from the universe itself. A group of dream deer waited at the shore. They had long, graceful antlers made of woven light and eyes that held the stories of centuries. They bowed their heads to Starwhisper. "Will you walk a while, Cloud Cat?" one asked. "I would like that," she said. So she stepped off her boat and followed them into the forest of the island. They showed her trees that whispered lullabies. They showed her lakes that reflected not her face, but her dreams. And then they led her to the great stone tree at the heart of the isle where time stood still. "If you listen closely," said one of the deer, "you can hear the dreams of the world." Starwhisper lay down beside the tree. The soft hum of wishes and hopes flowed through her, warm and bright. She stayed like that for a long while, not sleeping, but not quite awake either. It was perfect. Eventually, it was time to move on. She thanked the dream deer, boarded her boat again, and let the sky guide her deeper into night. Suddenly, a soft giggle echoed from above. Starwhisper looked up and saw a comet bigger than a kitten, tumbling through the sky with a trail of glittering fluff. "Help!" it squeaked. "I'm too sleepy to fly." Starwhisper reached out with her paw and caught the little comet. Its eyes were already half closed, its glowing tail flickering. "You need a nap," she purred, wrapping it in a corner of her cloud-blanket. The comet snuggled close, and within moments, it was dreaming of star castles and moon muffins. Starwhisper smiled. "I'll carry you until you're ready to wake." She cradled the comet as her boat glided on. Below, entire mountains yawned. Above, galaxies turned slowly in the deep. The night was vast and kind, like a song that never rushed. Not long after, she reached a kingdom that couldn't be seen unless you were very, very still. It was the kingdom of quiet things, a realm where time moved like syrup and every sound was a whisper. Here, mushrooms glowed softly with their own thoughts. Caterpillars read books made of mist. Even the wind walked gently so as not to disturb the nap of a blade of grass. Starwhisper was welcomed by the Queen of Soft, a plump owl in a crown of cobwebs. "We rarely receive visitors," said the Queen, "but we heard you coming as a thought." Starwhisper bowed her head politely. "Would you like to sit beside the pond of forgotten names?" asked the Queen. "I would." And so she sat. Around her, nothing moved too fast. Time rippled, dreams drifted, and not a worry stirred. It was a place where everything had already forgiven everything else. She stayed until the stars overhead dimmed just slightly, meaning dawn would come in an hour or two. The Queen of Soft gave her a ribbon made of dusk. "For your kindness," she said, "wear this when you need to rest." Starwhisper yawned. Finally, her eyelids growing heavier as the night wore thin. The sky had softened to a deep indigo, and a quiet stillness was settling across the heavens like a final lullaby, sung by the stars themselves. The little comet was still nestled against her side, its warm glow now steady and content. It no longer trembled with tiredness, but pulsed gently. Like a tiny heartbeat of joy, it was time to return. With slow, deliberate movements, Starwhisper adjusted the soft threads of her cloud boat. She turned her crystal compass, and its needle now, faintly glowing silver, pointed her toward home. As she began her journey back, the sky around her began to change. The distant stars winked one by one, not vanishing, but folding gently behind the veil of dawn. The wind quieted like a song, winding to its final verse. She passed once more over the dreaming isles, where the silver leaf trees waved softly in her direction. The dream deer stood once again by the shoreline, watching her boat drift silently above them. They bowed their heads in unspoken farewell. One of them whispered through the breeze, "May you always dream in peace." Starwhisper dipped her head. In return, her whiskers twitching in gratitude. The further she floated, the more she noticed the subtle shift of light. The moon, once high and full, now rested low on the horizon, its face sleepy and golden. Tiny mist dragons curled lazily between the clouds, yawning wisps of magic into the warming air. She passed by a flock of starbirds, returning to their nests tucked within the folds of the Milky Way. They chirped their good nights to her in a soft, crystalline song that shimmered in the air before dissolving. For a while, Starwhisper closed her eyes, letting the boat carry her. She wasn't asleep, not yet, but she floated in that in-between space where everything felt wrapped in wool and starlight. Memories of the night flickered gently in her thoughts. The glowing ribbon from the Queen of Soft now tied to the mast of her boat. The laughter of the sleepy comet. The stillness of the pond of forgotten names. And the comfort of the stone tree that held the dreams of the world. She realized that though she was often alone on these journeys, she never felt lonely. The sky itself was her friend. The stars knew her name. The wind carried her like a lullaby. As she neared her home cloud, the little comet stirred, blinking its bright eyes open. "Is it morning?" it whispered. "Almost," Starwhisper replied softly. "I feel rested. I think I can fly again." Starwhisper smiled. She stretched out her paw and gently lifted the comet into the warm morning breeze. It hovered for a moment, then spun in a little circle and darted upward, trailing soft sparkles behind it. "Thank you," it called as it soared away. She watched until it vanished into the light. Back at the cloud dock, Her familiar nest awaited a gentle dip in the cloud shape perfectly to cradle her curled-up body. She stepped off her boat, stretched her legs, and breathed in the new day's sky. Though the world below was just beginning to stir, her night was ending. It had been full and kind and slow, just as a night should be. Before curling up, she took the ribbon of dusk from the mast and tied it carefully above her nest. It fluttered slightly, catching the last cool breeze of the night as she nestled down into her cloud, tail tucked close and ears gently flicking. The first golden light of dawn painted the edge of the world, but Starwhisper did not know. Eyes were already closed around her. The clouds sighed and settled. The stars had done their work, and now so had she. Starwhisper purred once softly as the morning wrapped around her like a lullaby. And then she dreamed.